Hey friends and family, this is Marilyn from TarotClarity.com, and today this video is the very first members only video. Now, the truth be told, as I explained in my last video when I made the announcement, I'm opposed to making any videos hidden because I think they shouldn't be. However, I do need to increase my earnings. And it's possible that memberships only will help me with that. Now, I've been with YouTube since 2016, and I've resisted members only for 9 years. So I think the time has come for me, especially if you want to keep seeing new decks and how to use them. Now, I don't know how new this deck is. It's called the Graffiti Tarot. It's new to me. It was never on my radar. Somebody told me that it was a Pip style, modern day kind of wacky deck. And I thought, okay, I'll check it out. So I bought it. It's, as I showed in the other video, it comes with a great box. And as you'll see, the cards come right to the top, right? They come right to the top of the box. And you would think it's because there's a book in the bottom. There's no book. In fact, nowhere on the box does it say who the artist is. I have been searching this box down. I have no idea who the artist is. I did suggest who it reminded me of in the other video, the first video I did, but I don't know who created this deck. Okay, so this first video on my memberships list is how to read a challenging deck. And I think this deck is going to be a challenge for me too. I don't think this deck is going to be an easy deck, even for when you have experience, because the images aren't real easy to see. Whoops. Ooh, I did a mistake here. And, oh, I got some upside down and some not upside down. Well, the good thing about this deck is that it's easy to tell what's right side up and what isn't. So this is right side up. So I'll be able to tell when I flip the cards if it's upside down. So I'll just be able to change it because I don't read reversals. So let me go off into my meditative place, come up with a question, and we'll mix the cards. Although I've done a pretty good job mixing them up already. I do want to mix them up a little bit more while I meditate on my question. Alrighty. So, as I said, I think this deck will be difficult, even for me, to navigate because it's different. And so I thought it would be good to do a video on how to read a challenging deck. Now, I don't want to do a read on anything that's extremely important because I don't feel, I have a funny feeling this deck may not speak to me. So I just want to do something fun, okay? So I'm just going to ask, using my signature spread, what's the best thing that will happen to us today? And I'll say we in the universal sense of all of us, any one of us who's watching on the global stage. What will be the best thing that happens? The Knight of Pentacles. We'll see if that pops up in the spread. Sometimes they do. When they don't, I just chalk it up to having done a sloppy shuffle. How do I get it upside down? Okay, so we have 5 batons. So there could be civil unrest. I see 5 as an unstable number, and I see batons as a community effort. And we do have 4 individuals, though not 5. So, and they look like, what are they? They're witnessing a bonfire maybe because there's flames in front of them. So that's interesting. Let's see what the next cards might be. So we have a number that's exponentially larger of a different suit, but the opposing suit. So we have fire and water. So we have 10 cups. Cups lined up neatly follow the path, right? Follow the path. So we have something that's been set up. And the hiker is intended to go through that way. Now, we have opposing energies. So there could be some danger involved or some risk. We'll say that. Well, there could be some risk. Then we have another card of cups. We have 7. So after this, if we read it this way, because the road is going this way. Well, the road could be going this way too, right? But I see the individuals and then the road goes this way. So I see 7 as a transitionary number. So this setup takes us to something. Sets us up for an emotional thing of some sort. I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't speak until I see all the cards. I usually don't, but... So we have a King of Swords under unrest. Six Pentacles, front and center of the core 9. Another path. Interesting. A path underneath a path. This one is not as organized or deliberate. This one is a little bit more meandering, right? You'll notice that the Six of Pentacles and any of these cards really don't, even though the box says that this deck connects you with Rider-Waite-Smith, it doesn't. I don't think there's any parallel really between Rider-Waite-Smith decks and this deck, other than they use the same name for the pips and for the Triumph cards. But I do think it's interesting. And here's an example of where we read the deck, right? I'm reading the deck. When I can impose my understanding of, cards, I do it. But when the image is striking, like we have a path here and we have a path here, that's what I'm going to read. Or it could be a combination. The Empress, oh my goodness. I described her in the first video I did when I showcased this as the Ant Lady. So when you think of ants, and if you think maybe, I don't know if ants have the same kind of social structure as bees, but when you think of like the queen ant, that's who she reminds me of. So I think she's kind of narcissistic. She's probably very, very, very hard to deal with and please, very hard to please. And I get the sense looking at her, because she reminds me of an ant, and like an empress ant. Once she's done with you, she could be done with you, right? But the question, remember, is what is the best thing that's going to happen today? So let's look at this. So we have a community effort of leading the way towards something, some kind of transition, which might bring heightened emotional satisfaction, because the higher the emotional cups go, in the context of the question, which is what's the best thing that will happen, I see that as a heightened good thing, okay? Then this row I see could be a vindictive king whose way is not as clear, and there's some kind of confrontation between a more powerful female and king. So we may see something on the world stage being played out by a formidable woman who, may in some way confront a king and make his path less certain. How's that? So we have a Queen of Pentacles. So we have air and earth, right? They don't get along so well. So there's that. Another air and earth here. So maybe the alliance or partnership that a king thought was solid was not to his advantage. Let's see what the last card is. Sorry, it's upside down. The Knight of Pentacles. So we have everything about this spread is fraught with opposing energy, right? So that's very interesting. So and then we have a knight who's not on a horse. So, it makes us forget that it's a knight, but it's the pentacles. And so if it's a message, it could be a slow message. It could be a slow message. So, but I think there's something, I think there's going to be some kind of showdown between a formidable woman and a aggressive king, and I don't say quick-witted because, he's matched with the opposing energy. He's surrounded by opposing energy, with the exception of the Five Wands. But the Five Wands it's like a community effort, a collective community effort to bring some kind of emotional satisfaction or something better. Could it be regarding these two? I don't know. But these two have a confrontation, and now the path for him is not as clear. Wow. Okay, let me go off and figure out the Quint cards. Now, bear in mind, this is a hard deck to see. Cut me some slack if I get a number wrong. The way I'm perceiving it is the way I'm doing it, all right? That's the way it goes. Those of you who've been with me long enough, surely I think you probably even agree, because all of us who have done tarot readings might have perceived a 2, for example, as a 3 or something like that, Try not to do it, but if we perceive it that way, that's the way the message is coming in. It would be insincere to change the outcome, because the way we see it is the way the reading is done. Alrighty, so remember the question was, in our own neck of the woods, what will be the best thing that happens to us on the global stage? But for each of us, wherever we happen to be. Now here, the Quint card for the whole spread is Justice. And look how Justice and the Hermit have a little bit of a face-off. I don't know if that means anything, but we'll get to it in a minute. Let's see. So we have a little bit of a face-off between the Hermit and Justice. So Wisdom and Justice. And Justice is taking on a little bit of it's not quite the Grim Reaper. I mean, it's like thriving in red, But Justice doesn't really look like, well, I guess the whole deck is kind of dark a little bit. It's supposed to be whimsical and fun, but it kind of has to get darkness. This is why I might recommend this deck for Halloween. But we have a bit of a face-off between Wisdom. What's in his hand? Oh, he's pointing down. What's he pointing down to? So there's a face-off between these two, Justice and Wisdom, or age, or time. Time might be running out. Time running out for the High Priestess. Time is running out to hold on to secrets. And then here we have the Fool. So carelessness, this guy looks like a quack, right? Literally, he's got a duck face. So we have time is running out. Time is running out for the Fool, for secrets. So on a global stage, or depending on where we are and what is playing out in our newspapers, respectively, I'm going to take a look at this center row as the primary thing, that we may see something played out, that a man, a powerful man is defeated by a more powerful woman. She may not technically be more powerful, like as far as rank goes, because underneath her there's a subservient kind of dynamic here, but she may end up having more power than meets the eye. And there might be, like I said before, there's a standoff between the two of them, and in the same row, it culminates with another standoff between Justice and Time. I think it's Time in this case, not just Wisdom, but time is running out. He's pointing down here. So time is running out for the secrets. And the woman has secrets. So she may be, okay, so here is where the action is going, right? So he's pointing down. The female pope is the secrets, and all these figures are walking this way. So time is running out for the secrets. Walking off stage. So there perhaps could be an alliance that dissolves. Very interesting. I think I've described the other rows and stuff like that. Well, I didn't think I was going to get such a good read with this, but I think it worked just fine. Some decks are more challenging than others. I think this one is a challenging deck for somebody who's a beginner, especially if you purchase it thinking that it will be kind of Rider-Waite-Smithish. It's not. I don't see any real parallels. Like I said, with the exception of the names of the pips and the names of the occult triumph card names, and then also the order. Justice being 11 rather than 8. But this is interesting. So the best thing that will happen to us collectively is we'll see something. We'll see some kind of showdown, whether it's on a global scale or in our own respective countries. It could just be, a gossipy divorce between a couple where the woman gets the upper hand, or it could be something on the global scale. It's all relative to each of us individually. I hope you enjoyed this. My first membership reading. It will end up being I'm sure it'll end up being a video that I allow for the public to see in a few days. But, I think what I'm going to do for now with my membership videos will be sneak peeks or easier access to my bonus videos, which tend to be, I think my bonus videos are some of my best videos, but hardly anybody ever watches them because they must be hard for people to navigate. Anyway, friends, until next time, peace, be well, be brave, and thank you for being a member. Thank you. If you're watching this because you've joined the membership, I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.